In an important victory for Donald Trump, a federal judge in Florida, federal judge Eileen Cannon, has ordered the appointment of a special master. What's a special master? Kind of an independent adjudicator to go through the materials that were seized at Mar-a-Lago and determine which of them are outside the scope of the warrant, have nothing to do with the confidential and classified materials being sought by the government, and have those materials separated out and, if necessary, returned to Mar-a-Lago and returned to Trump. Now, the Biden DOJ vigorously fought this. The Biden DOJ basically said, hey, listen, we've got an elaborate procedure to separate out the classified materials from the non-classified materials. And this is called a filter team. The Justice Department, they said that we have a filter team, and the filter team can be trusted. The key word is trusted to make this separation. Now, first of all, the judge noted, your filter team is not really an independent filter team. You just went to the same division of the Biden DOJ that is trying to prosecute Trump, picked out a few of the people in there and said, you get to be on the filter team. It's kind of like taking the prosecution in a murder case and saying, picking up two prosecutors and saying, you're supposed to play the independent role of sorting out the material that is turned over to the defense, and then you can also decide what material shouldn't be turned over. And so you're basically talking about people who are working hand in glove with each other, pretending to have created a kind of wall of separation between the two. So the whole thing is bogus from the start. But even more important, the judge says, I notice that on more than one occasion, on at least two occasions, the investigators have identified materials that are protected by attorney-client privilege that were not flagged by the filter team. In other words, the filter team, such as it is not doing a good job and has clearly itself failed on at least two occasions. So the judge goes, this is really not going to work. The judge is basically saying, and this was the unspoken subtext of this whole ruling, I don't have confidence in the Biden DOJ. I mean, that's the message loud and clear. The media is trying to camouflage it by getting into some of the rigmarole of it. But the bottom line is it's a vote of no confidence in the Biden DOJ. And so there's now going to be, the whole process is on hold. The Justice Department cannot proceed with any kind of criminal inquiry or investigation. The special master is going to look through all the materials. And the judge noted that what's interesting about these decisions is they reveal new information that very often is not highlighted in the media. So one piece of new information is that Biden was clearly lying when he said he had nothing to do with this. Biden goes, I don't know anything about this. I'm not involved. Well, it turns out that it was Biden who essentially authorized the National Archives and Records Administration, the so-called NARA. It's Biden who told them, turn over your requests for classified documents. Don't just deal with the Trump people, turn it over to the FBI. That authorization came from Biden, and that is in the Department of Justice's own filings in the case. The judge also points out that inside of all these boxes, now that there's a kind of inventory that's being provided of what's in the documents, we find, quote, medical documents, Trump's medical documents, correspondence related to taxes, accounting information, and 500 pages of attorney-client privilege documents. So now you can see really what the Biden DOJ is doing. It turns out, I think, that they don't actually have anything on Trump. But their idea is if we can get a warrant, grab a whole bunch of boxes, we might be able to find damaging information on us that is now in our possession, not Trump's. But second of all, we can fish through his medical records, fish through his tax stuff. Maybe we'll find something else that we can then go. And the judge is like, that's actually not what these searches are about. These searches are driven by probable cause. The probable cause has to relate to something specific. In this case, the something specific is Trump is in possession of classified documents. That may or may not be an offense, depending on whether or not if Trump has the power to declassify the documents, then he's not in possession of classified documents. But nevertheless, that was not an issue here. What's at issue here is quite simply this, and that is that the DOJ says, you need to defer to us. We're doing a really good job. You can trust us to separate out what goes back to Trump and what we need to keep. And the federal judge has decided that's not enough. So the judge goes, quote, "The court temporarily enjoins the government from reviewing and using the seized materials for investigative purposes pending completion of the special master review or further court order." Now, this is a big blow to the left because they were salivating over the chance to get Trump on something, really on anything. In fact, quite honestly, I think these guys would be happy. And I'm talking really of not just about the DOJ, but also leftists in the media and so on. If you were to tell them, honestly, just between you and us, let's plant some evidence on Trump and let's frame him and let's get him. Even if he didn't do something, let's get him on something anyway. They'd be like, yeah, we'd be okay with doing that because after all, this man is a threat to democracy. So these are people, and we've seen this, by the way, from the Russia collusion narrative. They are not above trying to frame Trump because he scares them more than anybody else.